So I think the first thing is just to, create space, create a space for people to come and share. It's really important that there is a circle. The circle is about a democratic process where each part of the circle is equal to every other part. And the story circle process is about valuing every voice in the community. So, I would say invite 5, 6 of your friends over to your house. You don't have to have a big facility or a cultural center or a performance space. You can do a story circle around a dinner table.
A couple of the suggestions, not rules, but guidelines, are that each person gets 3 minutes to tell a story. We go around a circle. Each one of us tells a story. You want to tell a story that's something that comes from the deepest place, something that you're comfortable with sharing. The whole object of it is really to listen and find out how we relate through our stories. Not to be, kind of thinking about the story that you're going to tell when it comes to your part, but hoping that the stories that you hear will resonate with you and awaken a story that you feel, will be a chain, a circle.
John O'Neill is a playwright and actor from Louisville, Kentucky, who in 1961, 62, 63 started the Free Southern Theater here in Jackson, Mississippi. Moved the Free Southern Theater to New Orleans. It was a theater that was started out of the SNCC movement, Student Nonviolent Coordinating Committee. It was their basic premise of way of working in the community and developing their plays and developing their stories was using the story circle method. It's a process that they use not just for collecting information for the production of artistic work, but just to create an opportunity and a democratic process for community to share stories and build community with one another. The process, in his words, the process of storytelling is about understanding that we are one and that we all share the same stories. It just comes out and is shaped by the different circumstances that we go through, the coloring of our lives, but it's still the same story, it's still the same struggles with humanity. Some of the just things that we like to follow is, respect the time limit, that everyone has the same amount of time to tell their story, that the story has a beginning, a middle, and an end. That the story, you don't have to like a story that comes from someone, but you should respect the fact that it's their story and they have a right to tell it, even if it's not a viewpoint or perspective that you share.
So with that, the first round is the telling of the stories. The second round is kind of going back and kind of reflecting on the stories and thinking about what each person said. And the final round is about taking those questions that we might have that arise in us about individual stories or our own things that we find in our lives that probably come out of those stories.
It's a group that had been meeting off and on for 18 years before we got there, so you didn't have to prompt them. All you had to do was turn the camera on and just sit back. We didn't have to facilitate that conversation.
Seeing my best friend get his head blown off and it fall in my face, and then finding out 15 years later, when I was applying for benefits, that he had been listed as missing in action instead of killed in action.
And have an opportunity to hear the stories from these, men who were in this very interesting time between the end of the civil rights movement, the war, and just this place where blacks still are facing some really extreme challenges in terms of race dynamics.
We were supposed to defend this country, and putting dead bodies on a plane is not what I call defending this country. Especially where we get treated since we've been over the war, been over 40 years. And to me, the war is still going on because of the way we're getting treated as human beings.
They still operated, even in that space, very militarily. It was still clear that Sarge is a Sarge.
Yeah, Mike, before you cut me off.
No, I didn't intend to cut you. I'm saying I don't want the point to be missed because we're halfway into this thing and I heard nothing but negative things and I'm wondering where was I?
I realize that Mike has been doing this for 40 years. He's our leader.
He just realized that.
No doubt. I mean, I have the highest respect for this man. Matter of fact, I'll use the word love, because I've been around him that long. And he has saved me in many ways with my train of thought, per se.
And Sarge runs that joint, and that's his platoon, and whatever happens, Sarge is responsible for it. And he, you know, they're still taking that same attitude to the rest of their lives, which was very interesting. And I think it really came across beautifully in terms of how that was portrayed on stage.
Come on, come on. Sounds to me like you told you to sit your ass down. Are you going to sit down, Mr. Actor? Or are you going to stand there looking like a damn fool? Or are you going to fight me now, huh? Is that what you're trying to tell me? Just like you tried to fight that boy?
Pittsburgh, there seems to be a lot of violence, a lot of death. There was a lot of loss in a lot of those circles.
A young man who couldn't really get in the party or had a small beef took a gun at 19 and shot through the door of a small house party, and my son got the bullet and took his life.
Felt and seen so much loss in my life. It's just crazy and unnatural. The one that still impacts me to today, it was my one dude I grew up with, only 2 years older than me. We chilled every day. And the way it saddens me to this day to find out, the only way I found out that he died was over the news. Saturday morning, sitting down, just watching news with my mom, and I'm crying, literally crying on her shoulder, thinking, no, that can't be, because all I'm hearing is his name. I'm like, no, that can't be Manny. That can't be. That it cannot be him. He just got out the hood, just wanting to get out. Was out once a week.
After that day, I didn't know somebody wanted me to die. I was 8 years old, my best friend Bird. He's gone too, just like I'm gone. But then we were together. And we walked to the store to buy some candy because my mama said we could.
My message to the young people here, if you can understand what we're going through as a family who tried to do the right thing post. I would just implore you never to touch a gun, because.
And it's basically, you know, there's opportunity for everyone in the circle to have part of the story, to tell a story, to share a story that actually comes from their personal understanding or their personal history. But it's more than just about telling stories. It's really about listening. It's about respecting the stories and the multitude of stories that make up any given community.